All right, welcome back to the Blueprint. It was good to be back with you guys last week. Devin, it's good to see you again, man. How you doing? You been watching the Olympics at all?
Yeah, I don't know. My TV just happened to be on the channel all the time. I don't know how it got there, but I get lost every time. It's like, man, these people are so incredible. How are they doing these things? Like the skiing, like where they're going up and then they're doing all these flips and all this crazy stuff. I'm like, this
Right?
seems so dangerous. And people talk about football. I know we're going to talk about something else, but let's talk about that for a second. Everybody's got this war on football
Please.
for so many years. Those things are so dangerous. These little skinny skis that you're trying to land, and I just don't see how there are a lot more dangerous sports than football. Football, you have all this padding, all this protection, and then you got rugby where you're playing football without any of the protection, and there's no war on rugby. I just think people hate football. It's ridiculous.
And my dad's a rugby player. My brother's a rugby player. But they don't stick their heads in there like that, though. So they have good form tackling. I've heard it like more rugby players need to teach football players how to tackle properly. But I wanted to say I'm up in the mountains right now. This is why my setup's different. I'm out in Colorado, and I don't know if you've ever seen this, Dev, but like the half pipe that you see on TV, it looks steep. But when you see it in person, it's
Yeah.
damn near vertical and it's solid ice. And I'm just wondering how they're doing 1440s, triple backflips. And if you miss, I think you could probably die.
The
Honestly,
margin
I
for
think like you
error
could
is
literally die.
death. The margin
Yes,
for error is death. Like there's
remarkable.
you know what I mean? It's incredible that they're able to, even when they fall a little bit, it's like, hey, you found a way to your skis and to your feet. The one thing that was super
Crazy,
impressive,
man.
and this may be the most athletic feat I've ever witnessed. I mean, I didn't even see it, but I just saw a lot of people on the internet talking about it. The guy who I didn't know this was a sport. He's like running up a
Oh,
hill of snow with
cross country
skis,
skiing. Yes.
and he runs like a 9-minute mile or something like that.
No,
I
no,
can't run a 9-minute.
a sub 6-minute
Oh,
mile
excuse me.
uphill
Sorry for
cross-minute
disrespecting you.
skis.
Don't know your name. I apologize for disrespecting you because that's extra 3 minutes. I was saying that because I can't even run a 9-minute mile. So the
You
fact
weren't
that
there
you were
for the
able,
Hardball Michigan mile days, were you?
oh, I'm so glad I was
The
gone for that
Mondays?
garbage. Oh, I'm so glad I was gone for that garbage. I'm so glad I was gone. But to be able to on skis, not like with shoes, on skis uphill in the snow, run a sub 6 minute
Different.
mile. That is incredible. Most
Different.
athletic thing in the history of the world, probably, right?
Different.
I mean, it has to be
100%.
close, at least. I don't know. It's up there. It's up there.
All right.
So
Here's my smooth pivot. We'll start with Harbaugh as a coach, and then we'll pivot into coaching. So we'd run that Michigan mile on Mondays after a game, and it was to flush the toxins out. You'd be more sore because you ran a mile on turf. And all the scouts would come to Monday practice, and Jim Harbaugh would have a megaphone, and he would announce if you were in the top 5 of the races or the bottom 5 of the races. So he was calling you out if you were in the bottom. Didn't care if you were sore, played 100 snaps. So that's Jim. We know him to be a great coach.
Jake, I
It's
want
a
to tell you
new
something.
era. Please.
You're young and you don't know this. You were young when you got there. By the time you got there, I was pretty decent at conditioning, right? I wasn't in the front, but I didn't miss times. I was pretty good. Before you got there, it was a rough go of it.
The
I
Wellman
don't
days?
think in Aaron Wellman in his time, I don't think I ever, and let me reiterate, ever finished where I made all the times of a run. Never.
Really?
I don't think I ever did. I was
Really?
fresh. I was a young guy who, Inkster High School, we didn't do much conditioning, right? He's like, our extent of conditioning was run to the fence and come back and we'll start. You know what I mean? It wasn't, we didn't do a whole bunch. It was the worst experience of my life. Like,
See, because you got the fast twitch fibers, though.
No, it's not. No, it's Denard.
I never missed the time. I was great conditioned.
Yeah, because you're in big skill. Quarterbacks are supposed to be in big skill with the tight ends. But because of Denard, I have to run with Roy Roundtree and Jeremy, all these super fast guys. Like, okay, if I was in big skill, I'm making
What'd
those
you run in
times.
the 40? What'd you run in the 40?
That's neither here nor there.
4.4?
I'm just telling you, your lungs and your quick twitch, that doesn't even correlate. I have short distance speed. 7 seconds is a football play. That's all I got. And so I will make all the times for big skill. So I will be so furious because now I'm doing punishment and got to rerun the run because I missed the speed times, and I'm supposed to be in big skill, and I'm making those times. It was devastating. But by the time you got there, I was in big skill. So I was all good.
Times change. All right, so I'll bury the lead here, Dev. It doesn't matter because you're still a record holder at the University of Michigan. We'll talk about that in the second block, but let's talk about coaches. And I wanted to tee you up here, Dev, because I think football's changed a bit. There was, I feel like back when we were growing up, It was all about CEO coaches, toughness, culture. And I think what we're seeing now in the NFL, look at Mike McDonald. Sure, he's a CEO, but he has a schematic advantage. Sean McVay, a schematic advantage. Shanahan, schematic advantage, right? All these guys that are in Super Bowls every single year. The Broncos turned their program around with Sean Payton, schematic advantage. And that's because the talent is even. That's your advantage, is you need to win with schematics. I look at college, and let's hold Indiana for a second. Let's go back through, okay? Before Indiana, it was Ohio State. They bought their roster. It was the most expensive and most talented roster in college football. They win a title. It was Michigan. I don't think it was the most expensive roster, but I would say it was the most talented roster. They win a title. Georgia back-to-back. Clearly the most talented roster. Bama, the Clemsons. Talent. So recruiting, I'll save my opinion because I want to hear yours. Recruiting clearly still matters. It is a arms race in college to get talent. Yeah. But I said let's save Indiana because Indiana did not have the most talented roster. They won with schematics and scouting. Kyle Whittingham is a CEO type coach. Michigan won with Jim Harbaugh as a CEO type coach. There's a lot of parallels there between Jim Harbaugh and Whittingham. What's your opinion on what wins in college football? And as you look at the Michigan staff, maybe what stands out to you?
What wins in college football is quarterback, period. When you have a quarterback that can right some wrongs, and maybe if your scheme isn't quite there, you can kind of make up for it there, or maybe the talent is not quite there because, and I was talking with Adam before we came on, our producer, I think Elijah Surratt is a significantly talented college wide receiver. This is my thought on him. I don't think he catches 40 balls in his career as an NFL player. And I like his game. Either. I really like his game. But the fact that in college, against college football players, he was unable to separate, right? It was always someone next to him while he's catching. When you get to that next level, you already know the speed, the knowledge to make you even faster than you physically already are. It's at an entirely different level. And so I think it's going to be increasingly difficult for him to be successful. But he was a big part of the reason why Indiana for 2 straight years was one of the best teams in the country. And it's weird because Indiana has an amazing mix of both CEO and schematics. And let me explain. Right. And a lot of what Cignetti, he's gone on. I almost hate that he's giving his formula out, right? Because his formula that he's giving on these podcasts, that is authentically exactly what he's been doing. Because I learned it from their strength coach, right? And talking to their other coaches, and they were explaining this to me. I'm just like, wait, he doesn't talk to the team much? Like, what do you mean?
Hour and a half practice. Like, he said he never uses all 15 spring practices, Dev.
Dude,
or
it's
all
incredible.
Of the fall camp. Like,
it's incredible, right? And so that tells me that's CEO. That is, hey, you guys do your job. I'm not gonna micromanage. I'm gonna make sure I oversee everything, and then you guys go out. However, then when you look at schematics, they are far beyond most other teams, and you know that because of the talent disparity that they have. Now, do they not have good players? No, they definitely have good players. But if you go and look at all the rosters around the country, you wouldn't put Indiana's roster as far as pure talent. You wouldn't put their roster in the top 20.
You would have taken Miami's roster.
100%.
You would have taken Oregon's roster.
100%.
You would have taken definitely Ohio State's roster in the Big Ten championship. I mean,
that's a couple teams in their own conference, let alone in the entire SEC, right, and all these different places. So I feel like the formula is shifting a bit, where you thought it was CEO, but then you get a CEO with a lesser roster that has great schematics, and it's like you have to be a complete head coach, right? And so I think moving forward, that's the challenge for not only Kyle Whittingham, but all coaches around the country, right? You're not going to be able to just roll out all the best players because we saw that didn't work. That didn't work. And also, you got to have a quarterback. There were a lot of times last year for Indiana where Fernando Mendoza made them right.
Can I ask you one thing here, Dev, though? I want to interrupt you here because it's not just Mendoza is Mendoza. Mendoza wasn't the number 1 overall pick at Cal. I don't even know whether he would have been drafted. Now he's the number 1 overall pick. As it applies to Bryce, clearly we're not talking about the number 1 overall pick. You see what I'm saying? Like, does Michigan have a quarterback? Now it's a matter of schematics and coach?
I think so. Yeah, of course, because with Fernando Mendoza, like you said, that he was an afterthought. Like it was like, okay, he's gonna play football and then he's gonna get his LinkedIn going, right? He probably will
And
not
he's
be
got that
that
LinkedIn
type.
cooking.
He got that LinkedIn cooking, right? But then you get with a coach like who's a CEO and quarterback savant. I think it's safe to say he's been kind of treading under the radar for so long because he was at these lower levels. But when you go back to Alabama as well, everybody talks about it. Cignetti is a quarterback savant, and that's something people aren't talking about. And if you can have that quarterback like savant, especially if he's the head man, that makes it a lot easier to mold the quarterback, get him to play the way that you want to, right? Because the voice that he's hearing is the ultimate voice, right? It's not like the sub voice or whatever. However, for Michigan, I think that the coordinator is enough, and I wouldn't call Jason Beck a quarterback savant just yet, right? Hasn't been proven on a large scale, but he does a really nice job with quarterbacks, in my opinion, right? And Devin Dampier is the one we can look to where when I had New Mexico, when he was there 2 years ago, 2 or 3 years ago, it was so impressive to see how talented this guy was. Now, they didn't know that he would win the job right away, but he earned it, right? And so that is positive for me. That is what Cignetti does. The best player plays, period. The best player plays. You compete. Whoever the guy that I believe is the guy will play, right? And so when you have that a kind of competition like atmosphere, it brings out the best. And we talked about it on previous shows how the addition of these quarterbacks in the quarterback room is going to really, really help everybody, including Bryce Underwood, to either prove that he is the guy or don't. I mean, it's just two options, you know what I mean? And so I'm really excited to see what Jason Beck can do because I'm just telling you, the way Bryce Underwood played last year, the way he finished, the way he started throughout the middle, if he flips that, he's going to get in the conversation for a lot of jobs and NFL. Like, he is going to be the guy to, like, you changed that into that. Like, that could be something really special
evident
for Jason Beck.
Yeah. Let me build off that too, because I'll continue to go back to the Cignetti example and the Mendoza example, and we'll tie it back to Underwood, where it's like, okay, Mendoza comes into the right system. He's with Shanahan. He's with Cignetti, which has a history of developing quarterbacks, but nothing in football is isolated, and that's why we love the sport. It's the greatest team sport ever. Well, what does Cignetti do? It's the least penalized team in college football. It's a Joe Moore Award finalist offensive line. It's wide receivers that do not play if you are not in the right place at the right time and if you do not make contested catches. It's running backs that are not going to see the field if they do not pick up blitz protection.
And protect the football.
And protect the football. In a defense that gets you the ball back. In special teams that give you field position advantages. So yes, Mendoza elevated his game, but there's the CEO head coach that puts a quarterback in a position to allow him to realize his full potential. And I think what you were just saying here is clearly Bryce has, I mean, I'd say unlimited potential. Like, clearly we've seen it. And now you're bringing in Whittingham, who is a future Hall of Fame coach, who is going to implement that discipline. I mean, I met with him for just a little bit when I was in town. And like one of the main topics of conversation was having a plan for Bryce, but having a plan for the team as a whole. I think that's so important. The offensive line should be one of the best in the country, Dev. The running back room should be one of the best in the country. The tight end room is in a great, great position. The wide receiver room is in a great, great position, especially with Andrew Marshmack. Like, man, I think, tell me as a quarterback, if you're Bryce, like, this has got to be so exciting. This is a year for him to really find out how good he really, really is.
Yeah, it's exactly what you want. And having all those pieces that you just described, the defense and offensive line, running game, all those different things, for obvious reasons, it's important. But I'm going to give reasons that people don't ever really think about. When you don't have those pieces in place and you have an ultra competitor and a talent at quarterback, that leads to pressing on a level that is not conducive to success, period, right? And so many quarterbacks have fallen victim to it because the team around them just isn't as good. It's just not quite there. And it's like, I have to make up for it. I absolutely have to force this ball, not punt it. I have to force this ball because we don't know if the defense is going to get it back. I absolutely have to. Whereas for Mendoza with Indiana, why am I forcing? Check down, punt it away. Defense is going to play solid. Maybe they get a punt, maybe get the ball back, however it goes. But I don't think there was a time last year that Mendoza pressed, right? And I'm just going to tell you, pressing is exhausting, right? So if you press all year, even if it's working out, now when you need it the most, Penn State on the road, right? You need a long drive. If he
After
had
a
been
bad
pressing
game too, and he
after a bad
still
game,
didn't press.
if you had been pressing all year up to that point, you might not have anything left in the tank, right? But because everybody's picked you up, you almost feel obligated. You owe it to the football team to make sure, hey, this is my turn to prove my worth. And you saw what happened, right? It was incredible. And then you move forward, Miami, Ohio State, all these different games where because he was not forced to press all season, he was able to get in the right mind frame, and obviously Cignetti did a nice job all season of bringing him back to where he needs to be, not getting too far out in front and staying present. It's a really cool experience that I've not experienced, but I can just see like when a guy doesn't have to press, he can play so much better. And I think that's what's being created for Bryce, right? You get in a position where you don't have to have that play. Now, there will be plays that you have to have late in games and different things like that. But for the most part, games are going to be in control. You're not going to have to press. You're going to have to make plays when called upon, but it's not going to be so much pressure, especially at such a young age for him and whoever the quarterback is, frankly. It's not going to be so much pressure that there's an emotional damage that's kind of being done when you're trying to make things happen all the time. It's a tough life to live.
That showed up. Honestly, man, I'm just running through as you're talking. I'm like, man, this showed up all year long. I think at least twice, 3, 4, 5. I don't know how many. It was multiple times a week. We talked about Bryce's footwork in the pocket.
Yeah. How it started off okay. It started off pretty good, looked like improvement. And then when things didn't go quite well, didn't trust it, was like, I got to make it happen. And then it all turned to crap.
You're shifting the O-line, different running backs are in and injured. Your rotate. It took us how long to see Andrew Marsh become your wide receiver one? So there's just a ton where it's the exact opposite of what we're talking about. Inconsistency is everywhere.
It took them a long time, but I feel like there was a show that said that he should be 1A, 1B like right away, I think. I'm not sure. I feel like I heard it somewhere.
I think I heard it from the heavens as soon as we saw him running around. It was dead clear.
Yeah, I think that show, The Blueprint, is pretty good.
That's where it's like that, and that's the role of a head coach, is to create that stability and consistency to go maximize.
It's a healthy environment. It's just a healthy environment,
and that wasn't the case last year.
It wasn't in a number of different ways. A number of different ways. Like obviously, the on-field stuff was penalties, all these different things that we outlined all year. We don't need to keep hammering it because it's in the past. But then the off-field stuff, I don't think people understand how emotional, how mental the quarterback position is. I don't think they get it. They think it's like, roll out there, you're tall, you're fast, you can throw far, you can throw hard. Oh, you should be good. No, that's not the case. If that's the case, Brock Purdy would not have the contract that he has. He would not have had the success he has with the 49ers. Right? Is he the best quarterback in all the NFL? No, but guess what? He's carved himself out a nice career because it's certainly not about how tall you are, how far you can throw the ball, how quickly you can zip it in there. Because guess what? If you're throwing the ball as hard and as far as you can all the time, you're probably playing behind with your mind. Mm-hmm. So the fact that you have to always show your physical gifts, that's a problem. Now, there are times where you got to get the edge and you just got to show how fast you are and all these different things, or you see a tight window and you got to fit it in there and you show how much zip you have. But if you're doing that consistently, if every single play is, wow, look what he did. Wow, look what he did. Wow, that's not good. It's just not good. How many wow plays did you see from the Heisman Trophy winner, Fernando Mendoza? How many wow plays throughout the entire season? He played a lot of football. How many in your memory like, wow, incredible. He was never on top 10 plays. He was never on ESPN.
I'd say this, though, Dev. He had the wow plays when needed. That's the most important part, because boy, it wasn't all 4 quarters every game.
I can remember the Penn State throw, that drive, but most importantly that last throw, the run at the end of the Miami game.
Back shoulder to Surratt in the Big Ten championship. Back shoulder to Charlie Becker to win the game.
Like that's 5 plays. That's 5 plays. For the most part, he was just very steady. Very consistent.
He had a couple good ones against Iowa too, but yes, yeah.
But like you can't like think like, oh yeah, that was going to be on top 10 plays. right?
Yeah, he's not running around and
No,
throwing guys and hurdling guys.
every single outlet is going to break that down about how great that was. No, it just didn't happen. It just didn't happen. It was within the framework of the team, and then when they needed him to make a huge play, he made it. And it's because of the structure of not feeling, and I'm sure this conversation was had because I talked to Signetti about it, not feeling like you have to do it all alone. And I know people talk about that all the time, but it's so hard to guard against when you're super talented. When you're telling me this, but my left tackle's down, my running back's down, this receiver's not catching the ball, this is happening, my coach is doing this. Yeah, it's cool to say, but I can see all these things. I'm not blind. The blinders thing, it's cool to say, but it's hard. Everything, there are some things in front of you, Jake, right? Obviously, the blinders are good. You can't look left, you can't look right. But there are some things right in front of you that you can struggle with, and it's not conducive to success. So, in short, I just think that the structure is going to really help, and it's a lot up to Jason Beck to get whoever the quarterback is to play at a level, obviously Detmer as well, but to play at a level that is conducive to success, but also that understands that you don't have to do it all alone, and it starts with the environment around them.
Yeah. I mean, quite simply, like last year was not an environment to find out what like the truth actually is. But I really believe with Whittingham and this Michigan staff and Bryce going to year 2, the truth will be revealed. The full potential will be realized. And if I had to bet, I would imagine that leads to a really exciting year. Maybe some records broke. And maybe that's a good time for a break to talk about some of your records and my records and a little story time, which might be a little off-season theme.
I don't want them getting mine.
I know. Can we just? We're old heads now. Can we just?
I'm not that old yet. A little bit. Yeah, but yeah.
I mean, if
those records come down, I would love to see if it leads to winning. I don't want to see it.
Agreed.
Losses though.
Agreed. All right. Yeah. On that note, we'll take a quick break and we'll see you on the other side for story time. All right, we're back on the Blueprint, and what a way to kick off the off-season story time, Dev. I know you guys might see us as talking heads. Maybe you have some good memories, but you are in the presence of a few record holders here. We are record holders. So, Dev, I want to give you the floor. What record is your favorite memory? What stands out? How'd you get in the zone that day? Give me the scoop.
My favorite is Indiana, especially since they just won the national championship. 500 something yards and almost 600 yards of total offense. But the thing that people don't know, it was supposed to be just a regular day, right? But this was the emergence of Devin Funchess that year, right? And by the time we got to Indiana, he had shown that he had a really good ability to have that mismatch in the inside against safeties. He's too fast for linebackers and safeties. He's too big for corners. And so we go into the game. And also another factor was their cornerback led the country in pass breakups. I don't remember his name, but he led the country in pass breakups, right? And so we go into the game, and the whole game plan is Gallen's the distraction. Because remember, Gallen was having a really nice year. He had already had a really big game against Notre Dame, right? And this whole game plan was we're going to get Devin Funchess the ball, and Gallen is going to be the distraction, right? Devin Funchess in the inside, working on these slower defensive backs and linebackers. So the very first thing, I think it might have been like I think it was just regular old square out to Gallen, right? And so though the focus of the game plan was Devin Funchess, right, we still wanted to solidify and kind of, show like we're going to throw the ball to Jeremy Gallen as much as we have all season, right? So that they can know, hey, this is still the guy. And I throw a square out, and square out is timing, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the ball is out. There's no thinking about it. There's no nothing, especially if you got retreat coverage, right? Well, that guy that led the country in breakups, when I tell you he broke on this so fast, and this was to the boundary. It wasn't even like it was to the field. It was to the boundary, easy throw. We make it all the time. I've thrown it with my eyes closed to Gallen, and he breaks on it and almost picks it off, and he's probably going to run it back. And I'm like, oh, okay. All right, so we see that, but now we've already planted the seed that Gallen's still the guy. Then we go to like a deep smash, like a super deep smash off a play action, 2-man route to the field. And it was smash pump, right? Where, you got the corner and then you go to the middle. and it was Devin Funches, right? He's running, and when I tell you the corner fell off, the safety ran back, and they essentially ended up doubling him. And when I tell you, I throw it to Gallant, and he's running just a smash, and he's like leaking down the field as the play is developing, and there's nobody within 15, 20 yards. And I'm just like, what? I did my pump fake. I'm like trying to get it back because you want to drive the ball down the field. I'm like, well, I mean, I just can't throw it. So I throw it to Gallant, and then as the game goes on, it starts to rain. And I'm like, oh my God, who hates me? Why are we doing this? I'm about to throw for a good amount of yards. Didn't think it would be 500, but I'm about to throw a good amount of yards because Devin Funches is going to destroy all these DBs. And I remember it started to rain, and I threw a back shoulder dig to Jeremy Gallant. And I'm going to take a pause. A back shoulder dig is crazy because I mean, we've done it. Like we just knew each other so well in practice. Like I knew exactly how he would run his routes when he was tired. I knew how he would run his routes when he didn't know what route he was running. I knew everything about how he would run his routes because we would go into the building late at night, nobody there, and we would do. And I learned this from Eli Manning when I went to Manning passing games. Like, listen, get a guy, go in there, and just do the same route over and over and over again, all the way down the field, all the way back. Right, so you do both sides. Go home, come back, do another route. Right, so we would go in the building and just do that all by ourselves. Right now, probably should have brought more people along. But it was just me and Gallant doing that. And so I just got a rapport with him, understanding where he's going to be, how he's going to run it. He's tired. He's not tired. Is he going to run the right route? You know, and so we get into that game, and he runs this dig, and the DB, the guy that's leading the country in breakups, he's breaking over the top. And I'm just like, I can't throw it there, but he's not open, but he is open. I throw a back shoulder. He stops on a dime, catches it behind him. And then from there, we said, we got to double move this guy. We have to double move him. And the first double move, I think, was like a dig and go. He broke on it with everything in his soul. We throw a touchdown. And as we continue to go throughout the game, it's just like, oh, so you're not going to stop. I mean, I've never heard Borges call so many double moves in one game. Like usually you go in the game.
And it all worked.
Yeah, and you get one, maybe two double moves. You probably only complete one. We completed every single double move. And then Gallant, you know, he always had his screens in the package. We threw him some screens and all that. It was the most incredible experience. But the cool thing about it is, throughout the game, I had no idea what we were doing. Because it was raining, it was on and off raining, it was a lot going on. We were in jeopardy of losing the game, right? And I'm just like, this is incredible after the game. Because they come up to JD, remember our ops guy, he's like, do you understand what you just did? He's like, you just took down every single record, and like, it's not even close. And I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, you just threw for 500 yards, and you have almost 600 yards of total. I'm like, oh. And it's a funny picture that I have where I'm just kind of like I just look goofy because I'm just like, I cannot believe in front of 110,000, I just took down every record that exists. And I'm actually overshadowed because Gallant had 369 yards, which is not just Michigan records. That's records all across the Big Ten, and I'm sure he's very high up in you know, the entire NCAA. So, long story short, that wasn't supposed to happen. It was supposed to be
like
Devin
to be
Funches.
In the zone though, like that, Dev. Like, what? When do you realize you're in the zone?
Dude, I only had.
Do you know?
No,
or you just flowing?
Oh no, I was in there. I was in that. I was in the zone. Like I only had like 3 incompletions. I think I had like 75% complete. Like I didn't nobody from the other team even touched the football. Like it was one of the most. And then I rushed for like 80. Forgot about it. I rushed for like 80 yards and a couple touchdowns. And it was just, and it's one last touchdown that I had. It was a run. We were inside the red zone. Blitz off the edge. Nobody blocks him. I avoid him to the right. I see a lane to the left. I go. I give a little 1-2 to a guy. He misses. And then I dive in the end zone. I get flipped all around because a guy hits me at the same time. And when I get up, I am so exhausted from running for my life, making all these plays. And when I tell you, I don't know if I had another second of superhero type things in me after that run. And I did have the one run where I made the dude fall, the one, you know, little juke and then ran straight. That was fun. But yeah, once you're in that zone, I always like to describe it as LeBron James game 6, right? Against the Celtics, where you just can't miss. And that was both Gallant and I were in a zone where it felt like I could not miss. Like there was no way anybody was going to stop him from catching the ball, no matter what the blocking scheme was, no matter what happened. I just felt like everything will work, and I mean it did, and we needed every bit of it because their offense was going crazy. Like they played 2 quarterbacks in that game, and
it was a true shootout.
Oh my God,
I remember that. It was an
shootout.
absolute shootout.
The only real true shootout. Maybe Penn State in 2013 as well was a bit of a shootout, winning 5 overtimes, but it wasn't as high scoring. This one was they can't stop us, we can't stop them. Hopefully you get the ball last.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I still remember that game. It was a fun game to watch, be a part of, and so the Gallon that game he became number 2 all time in yards in a game. So that was just pure offensive firepower.
And then that Sunday, remember,
by everybody.
That Sunday, Megatron went off for like 300 something because that overshadowed Gallon. Yeah,
I didn't even know that.
He went off for like 300 something or 200 something, and it was something crazy. And I'm just like, in the state of Michigan alone, there's like 500 yards of receiving from 2 guys, over 500 yards of receiving. It's crazy.
How about that? Well, you grew up in Michigan, and I mean, you grew up like bleeding Maize and Blue. But I'll tell you, my record story goes back to when I was a recruit. And I remember my tight end coach, Dan Farino, called me. He's like, you're a little bit of a historian, aren't you? And I'm like, yeah, a little bit, because I'd walk around that Michigan museum and I'd look at Ford, who's a legendary player and a president. I'd look at the Heisman winners, all the great players and coaches and teams, and I would just be mesmerized. I remember thinking to myself, I'm like, man, I wonder one day, like, I was a good high school player. I'm like, I wonder one day if I could ever be part of that record book. And I could have left after my junior year, decided to come back, as you guys all know. And one of the big reasons was I had a chance to become the all-time receiving record holder by a tight end. And that's what happened against Maryland. It was a blowout. Well, we held up our end of the shootout. I think we beat them like 59-3 that day. The only thing that stands out to me, man, I'll keep this story short and sweet, is I ran across her. I knew I was close. It was trips. I think it was a bunch all go special. And I was at the point and ran across her, hit it. And we got right back in the huddle. And you know that guy that has the booming voice throughout the stadium? He's like, first down, Michigan, touchdown, Michigan. We're in the huddle and Wilton's about to call a play. I think he said like 1 or 2 words, and the voice comes over the intercom and he says, and with that catch, Jake Butt is now your all-time receiving record holder by a tight end in Michigan history. And I remember Wilton stopped. The whole huddle looked at me and the crowd just went nuts. And I got like chills down my spine, man. And it was like a full circle moment, man. I still think about that moment. It's like burned clearly into my psyche. I think about that 16-year-old version of me coming to Michigan, wanting to make an impact. And man, I love Michigan. And for both of us to be in the record book, I mean, you grew up a Michigan fan, man. Like, how cool is that? We both bleed Maize and Blue. I mean, it's remarkable.
Yeah, I mean, you got when it's right down the street and you play football all these years from 5 years old. You like, for me, I always thought like, man, well, I could do some amazing things. But even though you feel that way, it's so unrealistic. It's just not.
Right.
It's not realistic. And as
even
much
when
as
you do it,
you give it everything you got, but there's always a little bit of doubt. There's a little bit of doubt on, I don't know, man. That's tough, right? 500 yards. Like, I can't even throw for 500 yards on the video game. I still haven't. Not one time. Yeah. I've never thrown for 500 yards on a video game. I've tried. It doesn't work. And it's just like, how did I do that? And it's just, you're in a trance, right? Not even knowing while it's happening that you're doing that, right? Cool. You're in a game and you don't even know you're about to become the leading tight end in the history of Michigan football, where you're from Ohio, and it's just like you have no idea these things, and you want to be locked in, and you don't want to know it's happening because it feels so much better when it's kind of like a surprise, like, oh, what, I did that? Oh my God, the kid me is so proud, probably. Like, the kid me is like glowing right now and probably can't believe, I don't know, the kid me was kind of arrogant. He probably was like, yeah, I knew you would. I don't know why you were doubting it, but it's a pretty amazing feeling. And like we know, records are meant to be broken, but what we played 15, I might be 2026, last 14, like 12 years ago. I mean, still
it's
up.
A decade for me.
Still up.
Wow.
It's still
Colston
up.
was close. Colston was close, and then he got injured. And Colston made millions in NIL, and then his first round pick. So thank you, Colston, for letting me keep. Just let me keep it. Like,
it's only right.
Yeah,
you're getting paid now. Hey, let me keep that stuff that I have that I did for free. Obviously,
I married my wife. I hope God willing, to become a father one day, and then I'm going to take my kids back to the museum and say, like, "Hey, Dad did that one day," and then that'll be a real full circle moment. Though they will grow up diehard Michigan
Yeah.
fans, I can assure you that.
Yeah,
So,
and it's
um,
another cool thing, talking about like bringing your kids back. Like, not only are you in the records, and that might not last forever, right? Maybe somebody might go and it comes down, and you're second or third or whatever the case may be. Um, Fortunately, I'm first and second, as far as passing yards in the game. But hopefully they don't get all of them. But the one cool thing, and I remember the Tom Brady speech when he came in about being a captain. Most incredible thing is that can't come down.
mm-mm,
So when
mm-mm.
you take kids back, I take kids back, all these things, it's like, yeah, you can have as much success as you want. The fact that I was a captain on a Michigan football team when there's only been 100, how many years of football is it now? Right, it's not a whole bunch. I think that's incredible that you're able to share that kind of honor as a captain for a football team, and that cannot go anywhere. I mean, it can, I guess,
No.
technically, if they really want to, but it would be something crazy would have to happen. But I just think it's
Yeah.
really cool that is not moving. Your name is going to be
Yeah.
always up there as a captain. Obviously, so is mine. So that's pretty cool.
Well, shoot, man. Look, it's the off season. Maybe we can tell story time about that next week. I mean, I would love to talk about that.
I want to talk about Jeff Heckslinsky because he was annoying. He did it. Oh, we can't get into it right now. We'll get into it. I don't think you were there. Like, he was coming from like San Diego State, and he thought like, oh, we got to get him ready for the play in the big house. We've played in the big house. You have to get ready. He's like screaming in the huddle, all kind of crazy stuff. It's a long story.
All right. Well, then look, that'll be a story. We'd love to challenge you guys in the comments. You've been so active. Please, if there's anything you're curious about
What do
the
you wanna
player
hear
experience,
about?
the post career, let us know. Let us know. Let's keep this thing rolling, man. 1 million views. Now we're going to 10 million views, whatever it is. We need your help. So give us some off-season topics to touch on, and we'll be happy to hit on it, man.
And I want to say something
stuff.
because people that they tweet you, they DM you all this stuff. Hey, what happened here? What? Comment it and we'll figure it out, right? Adam will go through those comments. He'll figure it out. You have no idea how many questions about so many things I've gotten in person, on the internet, all these different things. Now we're giving you the open door. What do you want to know about? We'll share it. We'll share it.
Yeah, great stuff, man. We appreciate you guys. We will be combing through those comments, and next week's episode should be an awesome, awesome show. So we hope you guys enjoyed the show today. We'll see you next week on The Blueprint.